What's going on, and welcome in the Pels and Whistles, presented by Bet Online right here on the Believe Network. I'm Daniel Salerson alongside Rel Myers. The good news is the Believe Network did not trade us yesterday in exchange for two other hosts or a computer or some bananas or whatever you want to call it. We are still here, and we are happy for you all to join us on this Friday. It's a big day for the Pelicans. It's a late game for the Pelicans, especially me here on the East Coast. A 10 o'clock tip, and they're playing in New Orleans tonight as they welcome in the Cleveland Cavaliers to wrap up their 4-game homestand, looking for a sweep of the 4-game homestand. That's nice. And certainly, Rel, we're glad to have you here. And what a day yesterday as far as the NBA trade deadline. That's what we're going to focus on this podcast. Besides the Pelicans making one move, a flurry of moves. And I was around 1 o'clock Eastern, kind of like stumbling around. I'm like, I'm gonna go take a shower real quick. Something's gonna happen when I get out. Nothing
You know
happened
it.
when I get out. 2 o'clock happens, and the whole world freaks out. Twitter freaks out. Like everything starts happening at once and takes us all the way
Yeah.
to 3 o'clock. This year was pretty active. We expected it, and then sometimes it falls short of those expectations. But this was a very wild trade deadline to me. What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty wild too. I guess I was expecting it to be a little bit more wild, but I think the bulk of things that happened kind of happened overnight with the Kevin Durant to Phoenix thing. I
Yeah.
fully believed when Brooklyn said that they were in communication with him and they were going to keep him, that he was going to stay there and they were just going to bring in some pieces to help. But next thing you know, I wake up for my 5 a.m. run to the gym and I got a couple of text messages and people are talking about KD getting traded. And I'm like, what is happening? So once I start seeing the actual tweets from, the bomb guys, Woj and Shams, um, I couldn't believe it. I wasn't expecting it at all. So that was the biggest thing. But everyone else made, like, little splashes here and there, and the Pelicans made a little raindrop like we talked about. But um all in all, it was an exciting day. I was happy to be able to kind of focus all day on the news breaks.
It's crazy just thinking about it, how much the Kyrie Irving's trade request dictated the entire trade deadline, because that shifted everyone's thoughts, ideas, like the
Yeah.
Lakers trying to go after Kyrie Irving, other teams trying to go after Kyrie, and then thinking, is KD going to be available? Where does he want to go? And all of a sudden here, Brooklyn's the center of attention for the trade deadline. I wonder if none of those things happen, how much different this trade deadline is. I know we can't go back in history and think what ifs,
Right.
but I think it's pretty fascinating to think how those two or just the Kyrie Irving trade affected everyone else around the deadline. I really think it did.
Yeah, I think if Kyrie doesn't request a trade, KD is still there.
Yeah.
That was just the domino, and everything else just kind of fell out from there. So, and then the Westbrook trade to
Yeah.
Utah, where they're ultimately gonna waive him, I think.
Yeah, they're gonna buy him
Um,
out.
that's crazy too to me. So who knows what's gonna happen in the buyout market? Who knows where Russ is gonna end up? I'm sure he'll land somewhere. He's not just gonna be sitting out the rest of the season at home. But yeah, that's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, the buyout market's gonna be just as interesting to figure out where some of these guys will go. I think Reggie Jackson's another one that's not even gonna go to Charlotte in the Mason Plumlee trade. I think Phoenix could be a great spot for him as kind of an insurance policy for Chris Paul with the
Mm,
injuries. I think Westbrook goes to a team like Miami, who kind of needs another guard in there if they want to make a run. Um, Orlando was really funny on their PR release, said, "We are
mhm.
not requiring Patrick Beverly to report," basically saying he ain't coming. And certainly
Yeah.
that was just a way for them to get rid of Mo Bamba. And we'll get
Mhm.
to all these in a second, but I feel like we should focus on the Pelicans here just to start. And I
Yeah.
think everyone was waiting. I saw the gif of the person poking the stick going, all right,
Do
do
something.
something, David Griffin, do something, Trajan Langdon. And I'll ask your thoughts in a second, but they do make a move. They acquire Josh Richardson from the San Antonio Spurs and send 4 second-round picks and Devontae Graham to the San Antonio Spurs. So Devontae Graham did thank New Orleans before Anthony Davis, and so that's at least another positive we can say about Graham. We thank him for his efforts here in New Orleans, but I think the Pelicans did get a little better with the trade. Again, not the splashiest of moves, but
Mhm.
I think it was a step in the right direction, a small improvement for them as they head into this final quarter of the season.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that. I think the majority of fans were looking for Devontae to get moved, and one or two other people. But I mean, hey, it's we didn't sit and do nothing. We made a move that's gonna, you know, kind of help with the salary cap or whatever tax implications we have coming up. So I think it was a good move. So we traded in a small shooter for a bigger shooter, who can also play some better defense too. I think his wingspan is, I don't know, he's got like a 6'9" or 6'10"
Yeah.
wingspan. So I think he's gonna be good for us. So the Pelicans continue to be, wings are us, as some people like to call
Wings
it.
are us. Better than it was when I was there. There was no wings at all. In my
None.
10 years, there was a point where Trevor Ariza was the best wing that we had, and that was like a good stretch of my time there. And that's not a good sign. Love Trevor Ariza, but definitely the
Yeah.
wing has always been a problem as far as what the Pelicans were able to do. And what's interesting about this is one, it's an expiring deal as
Hmm.
well. So he'll be off the books after this year. And so I think that's why the 4 second round picks went the Spurs' way. It's like, hey, you got to take Devontae's contract for next year. Here's some second round picks to help out, but the
Hmm.
Pelicans are able to potentially shed that salary next year, and try to add some pieces in the offseason. I think that's kind of the direction that David Griffin went. And I'd like to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts on it too, as far as I know people wanted the big move. I know people thought Toronto, which we'll get to in a minute, how they were actually buyers and not sellers, getting Jakob Pertl
Hmm.
from the San Antonio Spurs. But I think a lot of people were expecting maybe OG Ananobi, Gary Trent, Fred Van Vliet, one of those guys to be traded, maybe one of
Absolutely.
those going to the Pelicans. But I'm also glad that David Griffin and Trajan Lane did not make a move just to make a move. Because look,
Right.
we know how stacked the Western Conference is. Phoenix only got better. They now move up to the top as
Hmm.
one of the teams that contend in the Western Conference. Denver's already a good team. They made the one move to get rid of Bones Highland. You still have teams like Dallas now that's in the mix. I'm not putting the Lakers up there just yet. I know they made some nice moves, but I'm not putting them in that conversation. You still have to worry about the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Clippers. And so I don't think you needed to put all your chips in this season. I think
Yeah.
again, I believe in the being patient and building from within and rely on your team when they're healthy to do what they were doing before Zion and BI got hurt, which was be a top team in the Western Conference. And then the offseason, that's when you evaluate, all right, what piece are we missing to get to be a top three team
Hmm.
consistently? So for me, I was okay with it. I know some people are worried about the luxury tax implications. I'm not smart enough to get into why those are a big deal right now, and I'll let those
Same.
people help fill you in on that. But at the same time, I was not disappointed that they didn't make a bunch of moves. I was actually more pleased that, hey, we're going to stay the course here. We're going to rely on this core that everyone was happy with during the offseason. Let's just let them ride when they get healthy and see where they stack up against these West teams. Then you evaluate in the offseason how they need to match up with these teams come next season.
Yeah, I am, not super worried about them just making this one move. Um, I think once we get into the offseason, we're probably going to have like two or three open roster spots, and so we can kind of really, fish for for some
Right.
guys. But even before we get to then, what's going to happen with the buyout? I think I've seen, what Dwayne Dedman got
Yep.
waived, and there's I think another center out there, a guy like Kevin Love or something like that. I mean, obviously those guys could potentially not be a fit here, but yeah, I'm definitely, still not hitting the panic button about the trade
No.
deadline. It is what it is. I can't do anything about, the front office's decisions. I'm gonna be at the game tonight. I'm gonna be at every home game after this, and I'm still gonna ride till the wheels fall off. So I think we'll be okay. We just got to get healthy. That's
Yeah,
it.
they're 3-0 now over this homestand here. You're starting to get Brandon Ingram in a rhythm, which is what you wanted to see, and it shows that you can win against good teams without Zion Williamson. Of course, you definitely want him back as soon as possible. It won't be
Sure.
before the All-Star break, but that will give him another couple weeks to kind of fully get healthy. Maybe then right out of the All-Star break, he's rocking and rolling. But they're beating some good teams on this trip. They
Hmm.
beat an Atlanta team that has been inconsistent, but they have talent and they were fully healthy. And then you sweep the back to back with LA and Sacramento. And another good test tonight in Cleveland, who didn't make a ton of moves. I think they're kind of in the same boat as they made
Hmm.
their splash in the offseason with Donovan Mitchell. And they have their core guys with Evan Mobley there. And I know I'm missing a bunch of other guys with Darius Garland. They have a
Yes.
solid core there that I don't think they were ready to take that. We don't have to go all in
Hmm.
right at the moment We can see how this team stacks up among the other teams in the East, and they feel confident that they could be one of those teams that competes for a spot in the NBA Finals this season. So I think they're kind of in the same boat and felt like we didn't need to make a ton of moves. They were one of two teams that did not make a move, Cleveland and Chicago, which I don't know what Chicago's doing because they have some talent, but they seem like they're content with mediocrity because I don't see them
Yeah,
going anywhere, which is
right.
surprising with Zach Levine, DeVar DeRozan, Nick Vucevic, and more
Mhm.
Alex Caruso. So the fact that they didn't make any moves at all, whether they were going to sell and go into rebuild mode or try to make a move to get better, it was kind of surprising they didn't do anything. But
Yeah.
as far as tonight's matchup, again, a nice test for the Pelicans to see where they're at. They've had a couple days off too. So
Mhm.
I do want to see this team just as it is right now. And if they go do the buyout market, keep in mind you have to get rid of someone because they don't have a roster spot open.
Mhm.
So I'm curious to see how the rest of the season plays out for them. But I'm definitely not worried like you that yesterday was a overall concern because they only made
Yeah.
one move.
Yeah. I think it's moving forward. What, we're 56 games into the season. Let me get into my breakdown here. We're back in seventh in the West suddenly after winning 3 games, and I guess somebody up there must have been losing a little bit. But
Minnesota, I think,
uh,
dropped a little bit.
okay, yeah. Let's see. Games 1 through 10, we were 5-5. Games 11 through 20, 7-3. 21 through 30, we went 6-4, as well as 31 through 40. 41 through 50, that was a rough patch there. We went 2-8. And then games 51 through 56, so far we're 3-3. So we're already automatically better than games 41 through
Yeah,
50.
improvement.
And right, hopefully by games, 61 through 70 and through the rest of the season, we'll be able to see the big three play with each other because those guys are fun to see. And we just got to get that hamstring right. And we don't have any back-to-backs to worry about for Brandon Ingram until the end of March. I think March 27th, 28th, or something like that. So the schedule's looking good. I think our strength of schedule is the third or fourth easiest for the rest of the season. Um, we just got to string together a couple streaks, continue this streak. And, if we lose tonight to a Cleveland team, that's good. Everything's good. Just bounce back on Monday against OKC. And you can't count them out automatically either. So just go out there and take care of business, play 48 minutes of good basketball. That's all I can ask for.
Absolutely. Of course, our show is presented by Bet Online. They remain your number one source for all sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL playoffs, the pro and college basketball, UFC, MMA, and more. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at Bet Online. With live betting options, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable, Bet Online is truly the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to the website today, use the mobile device, and join. You'll receive 50% off welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. So let's kind of break down this deadline a little bit here, Rel, just from a league perspective. Besides the
Mhm.
big KD trade and the Kyrie trade, was there one trade when Woj or Shams broke the news that you just said, "Whoa, that was an interesting trade," or that was one that kind of rocked your world a little bit?
I feel like there was one. I wouldn't say it rocked my world, but when I saw that Memphis was getting rid of Danny
Yeah,
Green,
got Kennard.
and they got Luke Kennard,
Yeah,
I was like, dude, so you got Desmond Bain over there, who is a great shooter, and then you're adding Luke Kennard into the mix. That's a pretty cool move for them, I
yeah,
gotta say. Um, and then everyone else, what shook me. Eric Gordon back to the
yeah.
Clippers. I wanted Eric Gordon to die a slow death in Houston. Not physically, but mentally.
Mentally.
Like,
I
I
think he
wanted
was at
him
that point. There was probably no one happier yesterday than Eric Gordon getting
I
out of
wanted him to
Houston.
suffer. And I don't know if you saw that last game that he played in for Houston, but
Oh, no,
there
he
was a
fouled
foul
Fox?
called on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I That game had no business even being that close, but that is just an amazing way for him to end his tenure in Houston. And he had a good run there. I think he won a 3-point contest while he was there, and he had several playoff runs with James Harden and things like that. But um to see him get moved, I thought that that was hilarious. But at the same time, it's kind of upsetting because why do you get to go to the Clippers and probably go into the playoffs? You don't deserve
Right.
it.
And the
You
fact
deserve
that
nothing nice.
Houston said, "Come on back, John Wall. Come here, buddy. I know you just talked major
So they
trash
can just
about us."
so they can buy him out
Yeah.
again. Like that's
How many different
nuts.
paychecks is John Wall gonna get from the same team? He's in double
More
dip
than
from
me.
one team, and I don't it's just that man the man's agent. Well done, John Wall.
Finesse.
That's another buyout market
Yeah.
player with John
Yeah.
Wall. You have John Wall, again, we talked about Reggie Jackson, Russell Westbrook, Patrick
Mm,
Beverly,
yeah.
all those guys. Will Barnes asking to be waived from
Oh yeah,
Washington.
that's right.
There's gonna
Terrence
be
Ross too, I think
Terrence
maybe. Is
Ross,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some teams out there that are gonna get even better without having to get rid of anyone. As long as they have a roster
Mhm.
spot open, that could be interesting as well. I thought it was interesting, me just being here in Atlanta, the Sadiq Bey move, which I really liked for Atlanta, but Detroit
Yeah.
just accumulating a bunch of young centers between Wiseman and Stewart and Duran. Like,
Yeah.
what are they? I don't know what they're doing as far as they have plenty of big men. Are they going to have
Yeah.
three centers roll out there, 3 through 5 in the starting lineup next year? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Um, I thought maybe they gave up on Bay a little early. He had a great rookie season. It's kind of
Mhm.
been a little bit, has struggled in years 2 and 3, but at the same time, still averaging almost 15 points per game. Warriors bring back Gary Payton the second on that same trade. It turned into a 4 team deal. Um, I thought the Lakers, that was interesting as far as
For
they not
sure.
only getting Malik Beasley and D'Angelo Russell,
Vanderbilt too.
they got Vanderbilt too, and they traded Thomas Bryant. Apparently didn't need him. What was funny is
For
saying
Mo Bamba.
they're moving, yeah, Mo Bamba. They were moving Thomas Bryant to give Wenyen Gabriel some run. And that's when I was reading, I was like, one of those like
What?
you try to undo your eyes like they're tired. I'm like, wait, what did
Yeah.
I just read? That they are making room to get Wenyen Gabriel more minutes. They really value him there,
It's
I guess.
crazy.
But
I
they were
thought
in
that
the
they liked Thomas Bryant over there, and I think, he was upset, um, about not getting more minutes, and it's like, you're not gonna get more minutes behind a former number 1 pick in Anthony Davis.
yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, bro, but you could be out there playing alongside him since he doesn't wanna play the 5, but I don't know what they're doing over there, but it just puzzles me when other teams try to help the Lakers. I thought that we all were in agreement that we
United
were
as
not
one.
gonna do that. Yeah, so why and so my friends got, a little bit of, like, a conspiracy thought, shout out to my buddy Charlie, where Dwayne Wade's involved in Utah's,
No.
ownership group. Completely forgot about that until he brought it up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Man, don't put that thought in my head."
Trying to help
So he's like,
LeBronny.
"He's trying to help his friend," and I'm like, "I guess, man." But, yeah, it was very, very interesting trade deadline, and yeah, around 1 Central or 2 Eastern, when things started to really kinda start to pop off, it was just like multiple devices, and you're looking back and forth. What is happening? So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Do you think the Pelicans do try to do the test the buyout market and waive a player? I know everyone says waive Garrett Temple, make him a coach. I don't know if it's just as easy
Yeah.
as saying, here you go, Garrett, just sit on the bench in a different form. Or do you think the Pelicans just stand pat and just ride this out with the team that they have?
I'm gonna err on the side of them standing pat, so that way, if they do something, I'll be pleasantly
Yeah, there
surprised.
we go.
Instead of me being like, "We got to do something," and then they don't do it, and I'll be disappointed. But I think that they really, really are just like betting on themselves and trusting in the fact that when we're healthy, everything's gonna be absolutely fine, and we're gonna dominate. Um, and they're just kind of, and it's a little bit of a risk because you can't guarantee that we're gonna be healthy at the same time. Um, but yeah, I think they're just really like, you know what, we're going all in on the guys that are already here, um, and let's just see what happens. So hopefully it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at the kind of how the West is stacked now with
Ugh,
the moves that were made.
mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough
Yeah,
throughout the rest of the way to see where everyone is. If we go look at the standings, which I'm going to pull up right now and see if any
yes,
teams take a little bit of a dip, I feel like it was more so in the East, obviously with Brooklyn, who I thought
yeah,
got some great pieces back, by the
for
way.
sure.
Yeah,
I thought they were
everyone's,
gonna move some of those guys too, and they did, and they refused to come off of Mikal Bridges.
yeah,
Everyone was asking for
someone
him,
offered
and
4 first round picks.
yep, and they're like, nah. But their roster, the way that it's it's constructed now, it's like, well, why didn't they try to, reroute some of these
Yeah,
guys? Because now you just got like it's role player central over there.
it is.
It's kind of
Solid role
weird.
players, but just role players,
Yeah,
and a guy named Ben
yeah.
Simmons, who I don't even
So
know
are
is a
they
role player
gonna
anymore.
a guy named Ben Simmons? So they're in fifth now, and they just had an amazing month in January. Or I think what is it, the end of November through
Thanks,
all
like,
the way through
well,
December or
Cam
something like that.
Thomas just kind of went off for them.
Yeah,
LSU product there.
Cam Sanity. He's got that Linsanity thing going
He
on. But
does. He does. But let's look at the West real quick and look at the teams that made
mhm,
moves, potentially got better. Denver, number one, didn't make a ton of moves, but they're a pretty solid team no matter what. They're going to stay up
mhm.
there. Memphis, they got better with Kennard
Yeah,
instead of Danny Green, just some more shooting. They're going to be up there. Sacramento didn't do a ton. What move
no.
did they do? I know they made some move because there's only two teams that didn't make a move, but I don't know
I
if
don't
they.
remember.
I don't remember them making a move.
I don't recall anything. What did Oh, and you know what I just remembered? Not that this has anything to do with Sacramento, but Bones Highland. He went
Yeah,
to the Clippers as
Clippers.
well,
That was a
right?
nice pickup. Yeah, for them.
Yeah, so they're just like they picked up Highland and they picked up Gordon, and got rid of Reggie Jackson, right? So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but they're still holding down the number one seed. I think they're 4 games ahead of Memphis.
Yeah.
So
So you have
keep it up.
Sacramento there. They're still playing well. Dallas, who now gets elevated, I think, a little bit with Kyrie, still concerned
hmm
about their depth. You lose defensively, Dinwiddie and Dorian, more importantly, Dorian Finney Smith. See how they do. Clippers, I'm not sure what they are, but they're not terrible. I don't think they got worse by
hmm
the moves that they made. Phoenix is going to jump all the way up. That's six teams right there that you're
Yeah.
like, hmm, where do the Pelicans stack up against them? I'm not saying all of them are better than New Orleans because at a
hmm
time when the team was healthy, they were better than a lot of these teams. And then you can't forget about Golden State, who is behind New Orleans, that you know they're gonna
Yeah.
be back when Steph Curry gets back. So, and
Right.
then the Lakers. Again, I think they're gonna move up a little bit potentially, but they're not contending or anything else. I think
Yeah. They got some ground to cover.
they just put a band-aid over everything basically for this year, hoping that they don't hemorrhage blood throughout the
Yeah.
rest of the way, and then they're gonna have to do something big during the offseason if
Yep.
they want LeBron to be a part of their future. So it's gonna be very tough though in the West. I feel like
Yeah.
for New Orleans, they're gonna have to bank on chemistry, health, growth, which I think they can do. I think they can make a little bit of a run to make things interesting here. And again, I feel like the goal, and I think you would agree, even after this
Mhm.
deadline, is just finish in the top six because that is
Yeah.
showing improvement from last year, more
Mhm.
experience for this team, and you feel like you still have a shot at upsetting someone as a 3 seed, or if you're a 5 and upsetting a 4 seed, or getting one of those top four and
Mhm.
seeing what you can do in the first round. So, because home court is certainly something that the Pelicans have gained. I think it's one of the tougher places to play when they are healthy, but the fans have been
Mhm.
rocking. The fans have been showing up. So, I think it should be
Definitely.
interesting for the Pelicans here.
Yeah. Just looking through the standings, and I think tonight, Phoenix is playing Indiana. If Indiana could do us a favor, that
Hmm.
will put Phoenix at 30 and 28. That would put the Pelicans at 30 and 27. So we'd be in sixth, just like that.
Here's the
So
thing. I don't know if you're battling with Phoenix. I think Phoenix is eventually going to go on a little bit of a run. Like I feel like they're
yeah.
going to skyrocket a little bit. But yes, every loss from someone else helps. But I
Right.
don't think they're
Right.
going to be fully available again. The trade did go through, obviously with them,
Yeah.
but like I don't see Kevin Durant playing.
Mm-mm.
I was
And he's not. He wasn't back from whatever injury anyway,
no.
right? From his knee.
Yeah, that's true. He's not
So.
playing the rest of the time. I actually saw Nick Friedel yesterday at the Hawks game, and now he's kind of shifted his gears towards Phoenix. But
Yeah.
looking at their bench last night, there was like two people sitting on their bench because they just had no
Yeah. They had
guys
like
last
9
night.
guys.
9 guys last night, and they
They
had a
won, right?
no, they lost. The
Oh, they
Hawks
lost. That's
did.
right. That's right.
They lost to Atlanta.
Got you.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see when these guys show up and suit up. And is Josh Richardson expected to dress tonight? Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't. I wouldn't expect him to play tonight. I think I want to say I looked at the injury report just because on ESPN I'm always
Yeah.
looking at the injury report, but he was on there listed as day to day with like no description, so it
Mm.
wasn't like not with
Traded.
the team or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I wouldn't necessarily expect to see him out there ASAP because it's not like a trade when we traded for CJ where like he got to town and immediately it was like I need to practice and we're
Yeah.
gonna go play. So I don't know if they'll be able to just like toss him out there to the Wolves tonight, but I would absolutely expect him to play on Monday, though.
Good deal. So they'll have the full weekend off as Mardi Gras
Yeah.
festivities do begin. Before I let you go and before we get out of here, Old Man of the Three was obviously taped last night in New Orleans. JJ is a part of the ESPN crew tonight for
Yeah.
Pelicans and Cavs. I know we talked about this off air, but what did you think about the taping? How was it? Did Pels 12 show up for good old Jay Reddick?
There was a lot of familiar faces there. There's some people that I like actually know, and there's some people who I've seen at the games and things like that. And just it was a pretty decent turnout. I want to say the floor seats were pretty much packed, and there was a bunch of people up on the balcony. Trey was up there with his dad and Najee, and CJ's wife was there and everything. So it was a pretty good turnout, and the dialogue was awesome. And I think the fan base is really gonna like the episode when they get to hear it.
Did you learn anything? And you don't have to give it away because we do want to encourage people to go listen. It is a great podcast, but did you learn anything about Jose or CJ or just even JJ from his time?
They've got the team's got a list from top to bottom of I guess the nicest guys at the bottom to the a-holes at the
No,
top, and we learned who was at the top, who was 1A. We don't know who 1B is though. So that's something they talked about and that they kept referencing throughout the night. So it was kind of funny to keep going back to that.
did
But
they didn't say who
um
1A was, or do you know
no, they
you
said
want
who 1A was, yeah.
you don't want to give it away?
Yeah, I'll let people go listen to the episode to find that out. But yeah, before we do go, oh, one more thing about Old Man in the Three. All the proceeds from those tickets they were donating to Nord,
Awesome.
to the basketball division specifically. So I thought that was really cool. I used to spend a lot of time at the Treme Rec Center, which is a Nord property. And I used to play ball there for hours, a couple days a week. So I thought that was super awesome for those guys to do. So I got to meet JJ and Tommy after the show, take a picture with them really quick. Tommy said I was a legend.
Yeah.
We're
No,
besties now.
they took a picture with you. You didn't take a picture with them. They took a picture with you.
Right.
Let's keep that in mind.
Right. But last thing I wanted to say was tonight is like what I think they call Mardi Gras Madness or something
Yep.
like that. So they're giving away those Pierre bobbleheads. Unfortunately, Pierre's in the City Edition jersey
Hmm.
from this year, but it looks like a really awesome bobblehead though. So I'm excited to get it. Um Last home game before the All-Star break and before Fat Tuesday. But since King's Day, the Pelicans are 5-13. So everybody who keeps tagging me in the King Cake Baby tweets and stuff, like the stats are right there in front of your
Yep.
face, as well as last year and all the way back to 2014 or whenever we first got the King Cake Baby. So it is what it is. Yeah, we went on a little home win streak in the presence of the baby, but tonight he will go back in his crib and we will not see him again until next Mardi Gras season. And I'm quite thankful for
All right. Well, we'll see if it can be another
that.
win, and we'll shout out to King Cake Baby and trying to get to all his haters as he's been bouncing
Yeah,
around different TV stations, getting everyone ready for tonight. Should be
right?
a fun one. Again, 9 p.m. Central for those that don't know. It's a late one just because it is the second game of an ESPN doubleheader, but it'll still be locally on Bally Sports New Orleans. But you all should be at the game anyway. You shouldn't be worried about how to
Heck
watch or
yeah.
listen, but you should be listening to the local coverage if you can. We'll be back next week to recap what happened against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll see how the Pelicans are heading into the All-Star break, and this is the first kind of big weekend of Mardi Gras, right? So parades have been rolling over the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, parade's gonna be rolling. I'm not gonna be attending any of that malarkey. Uh, I've become kind of a
Are
homebody.
you
I just want to go
done?
to Pelicans
Are you
games,
done with
Pelicans
Mardi
watch
Gras?
parties.
You've
Yeah,
been
I'm
there all
so
your
done with
life, right? I mean,
exactly, exactly.
been there, done that.
We do one parade a year with family where it's like almost like the most VIP Mardi Gras experience you can have. So I have somewhere to park, I have somewhere to eat, I have somewhere to like watch watch the parade and stuff. But I don't even think we're going to that this year. So I'm just gonna lay
Wow.
low. I'm gonna enjoy the all-star festivities next weekend while everyone's parading. Um, and yeah, for me, it's all about ball. I'm gonna go to the
Yeah,
gym. I'm gonna work out, and I'm gonna watch basketball. No parades.
that's
Not for me.
awesome.
Not this
That was
year.
my that was when All-Star break coincided with Mardi Gras. It was always the
Hmm.
best because I could actually enjoy the Mardi
Yeah.
Gras festivities, and I used to be one that would go after a game, have to go fight through the parade route to get back home and all that stuff. So that part I certainly don't miss, but I hope everyone is
Right.
safe and enjoys it. And while you're out there waiting for the floats and the parades, why don't you put a couple of bells and whistles on your downloads and
Why not?
take a listen. Or if you're on the parade, you're in the parade and just need something to listen to while you're waiting. I know we can serenade you with some solid episodes. Our last one did really well, so we
Facts.
appreciate everyone that did tune in. Again, we're listened worldwide. Over 25 countries have tuned in to Pels and Whistles. We're only growing from here, and as much as the Pelicans are growing as well, we hope to bring you some quality episodes and some more interviews here throughout this stretch run and see where the Pelicans do heading
Heck
into the
yeah.
postseason. So we hope everyone. Oh, also in Willie Green we trust. Rel, if you're watching on YouTube, that shirt I should say is available at the Believe Network store. Make sure you go out and
Love it.
purchase one. We should have one that says "In Rel Myers we trust." We'll be working on that as well to get her own endorsement deal and branding here at the Believe Network. She's already a rock star at Believe Network. You should see the tweets that I'm tagged in from her. My goodness, that's
Oh
another story
man.
for a different day. But
My
we hope,
condolences.
yeah, exactly. We hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe with the parades. Enjoy the game tonight. And we'll see where this wild ride takes the Pelicans heading into next week's All Star break. For Rel, I'm Daniel. Thanks for listening to Pels and Whistles presented by Bet Online right here on the Believe Network.